What's up, everybody? It's Chad. I'm back again with another episode of Ask Chad Grassy Logic. I'm here with my friend Adriana from Cookies. Thank you so much for joining me.
No, thank you for having me. I'm super excited. Can't wait to, talk about all this.
Yeah, me too. I'm excited for this episode. We got a lot of good topics to talk about, and a couple controversial topics to talk about. But first, before we get into that, I got to pay the bills, y'all. And I got to thank my sponsors today, where we're sitting right now in Monster House. Thank you so much for allowing us to film here at the Consumption Lounge. Check them out here in Las Cruces. I also want to talk about what events they have going on here. So August 9th, they have Santana, 8 to 10. I don't know if that's a DJ playing Santana, or if it's a band playing Santana or what, but it says Santana. It's August 9th. August 11th. Actually, most of this stuff's over. Yep. I got to flip it on the backside. I didn't know there's two sides.
He's over here like...
I was like, wait a minute. This is over. All right, so here we go. Now we're on the updated one. Here we go. So Saturday, the 24th, right around there. All right,
yeah,
cool.
We're on the right week.
It's the right day. All right week. So 24th is going to be the Bewitched Brushes and Blunts. So it's a puff and paint. So that's good. That should be pretty fun. Yeah. Puff and paint's going to be this weekend.
What day is that? I might
the 24th.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the 24th.
I'll save that.
There you go. Yeah. So if you guys are in town or you're out of town, or live locally, go ahead and check it out. August 25th is going to be the Headspace rolling event. So I heard about this online. There's going to be some people showing you guys how to roll if you want to. They're going to be rolling themselves. So it should be a fun event. Check that out. That's going to be the next day on Sunday. And then on the 30th of August, it's going to be a smoke sesh with Dizzy Lokes. And I believe that's the influencer from up north in Albuquerque, I think. I'm not sure. I don't follow it too much, but that's what's going on. And then later on that day is going to be the Era show from 8 to 11. So the smoke sesh with Dizzy Lokes is going to be 4 to 8, and then the Era show is 8 to 11. So I just wanted to let you guys know what's going on with the local events with this. Sorry about the mishap at the beginning. Didn't know it's two-sided. But thank you so much for Monster House for your support. Cinder Cannabis, thank you as well, too. Check them out here in Las Cruces. They're not on Solana or anywhere. They're a little more like Roadrunner area. And Turquoise Bloom here in Las Cruces. Thank you guys so much for your support and for your sponsorship. Helps us get some new toys like what Gino has right here.
I know, I just see so many gadgets around me.
We've evolved a little bit. So thank you all again. And let's get into the episode. So Adriana, thank you so much. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Okay, Adriana, thank you so much for joining me. She's of Cookies, but before we start talking about Cookies, welcome to the show, and thank you for driving all the way from Little Dubai. I don't know if you know why we call it that, but thank you for driving up from Sunland Park.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard the term Little Dubai a couple of times, and I remember asking like, what is Little Dubai for? And it's just a big money pot of dispensaries and just a big community of cannabis. So yeah, I'm educated a little bit. Just a little bit.
So you're actually looking at the guy that coined Little Dubai.
Oh, really?
So yeah, I was in Sunland Park with a bunch of friends at the beginning. We're with some guys from they do Canna Cribs. We're with the Canna Cribs guys, hanging out with them, and we're driving through, and it was one of the first times we were really driving through and seeing everything starting to kind of kick up. This is before sales started, So, and I look at them and I look at the guys and I laugh. I was like, "This is Little Dubai."
You're so funny.
Yeah,
so you're like the person that made that, right?
Yeah, I was the person who coined that.
Funny.
Yeah. So I coined Little Dubai, and the reason behind it, I know it's changed up a little bit, was actually because of the fast growth in Little Dubai. Is because it went from just almost nothing, and all of a sudden, right now, if you look at it, it's nothing like 2 years ago.
Yeah, no,
it's a Little Dubai.
Huge.
Yeah. And so now it's getting big. It's getting more things. The mayor told me they have millions of dollars, in the coffer to work with, which is great. That means it's going to grow even quicker. So that's where the name Little Dubai actually came from. And, I'm glad that they're kind of sticking to it. A couple of people have asked me, well, Dubai has nothing to do with cannabis. So I was like, yeah, and weed isn't legal in Amsterdam. Like, what's the point?
It's just a little town. A little town that's going to grow.
Really quickly.
Growing.
Yeah. And if you guys don't know, Dubai itself actually was just a little fishing village back in the day. And then once the oil stuff happened, it just started to kick up, and it created a huge city, what it is today. One of the biggest cities and one of the richest cities in the world. So
that's actually such a good correlation for that little area.
Yeah, just a little
crazy.
Little Dubai.
Yeah, it's super nice.
Anyway.
Genius, little pioneer.
Yeah, exactly. You guys are doing great down there. You're killing it. We'll talk more about Little Dubai at the end because I have the Little Dubai update. Okay. So thank you again for driving up there. I know it's like about an hour drive.
Yeah, about an hour. I was listening.
Especially when you go to the wrong place.
Cruise. Yeah, I was in the wrong place. I was like, oh my god.
It happens. I think a couple people have done that before too. So don't worry.
I mean, it was just down the street.
Yeah.
It'd be different. It was like another 40-minute drive. I'd be like, hey, I'm not going to go.
Yeah, it's like, I ain't making it because...
I think I ran out of gas.
I went to Chaparral instead. Yeah. So for the guests out there, we can finally get to you. Can you give us a little intro about yourself, who you are, where you come from, all that good stuff?
Yeah. So my name's Adriana Salido. I am the marketing manager for Cookies Sunland Park. Over here. Am I looking at the wrong one, guys? Sorry, this is my first time. This is my first time. So I am from here, born and raised in El Paso, Texas. I love it here. I never would have found myself in this market at all. I used to be in the Army. I'm actually very new to this market, if you guys have not already told. But I got out of the Army in January. I smoked a little pot and I fell in love. And now I'm marketing for cookies. So it's just hilarious. It's just like a hilarious little timeline.
Yeah.
So I'm learning a lot. I've learned so much so far, but I'm very new to this still. And I love it. I love it. I love everything. I love the people, the energy. I mean, I get to meet people like you who advocate for cannabis, which is super cool to see. So that's my little backstory. And yeah.
Well, first off, thank you for your service.
Thank you. Thank you.
Be it whatever. And you were Army, so I can respect it even further. That's great. And a lot of veterans, like myself, found relief after getting out too. When I got out of the Army, I was active duty, and I was in Hawaii. I was with the 25th.
Oh, okay.
And so when I got out, I remember signing out on leave, and I told the guys on staff duty, I said, it's a little office you sit in for 24 hours and answer a phone. Stupid. Yeah. Anyway, I told the guys on staff duty when I was signing out, I was like on terminal leave, which is the last leave you get in the military. I go, I'm going to flip you guys off as soon as I'm done doing this, and then I'm going to go smoke a lot of weed. And they laughed. They thought I was kidding. But
you weren't.
No, I was not fucking around. I was done as soon as I put the time. I looked at them. I said, see you fuckers later. And I flipped them off and walked out. They just laughed. Because I think one of them was about to retire.
Yeah.
And the other one was just, they didn't give a shit. Yeah. It was like 11 p.m., on like a Wednesday or something random.
They probably said this guy's tired.
Yeah. They probably had the PSP under the desk and they're probably like, I'm trying to get back to my game. I don't care. Yeah. So I walked out, flipped off the cameras, left base, and went and go smoke some weed. And ever since then, same thing.
You just never looked back?
I never looked back.
It's weird. I think it's so funny. I think it's the timeline is just so short. Yeah. And it's insane. But one thing that I have reminded myself though is if I could market weed, I could market anything. And I mean, cannabis is a huge market. It's pros and cons. But for me, as of late, ever since I got out of the Army in January, it's been nothing but pros. Yeah. So I love the community. I love everything that I've gotten to experience so far. And yeah, it's just, that's my take on it.
Yeah. Well, wait until you meet the veterans of the community. They're even more awesome too. I love those guys.
And, that's true.
Yeah, so right. Once you start getting in the community of the veterans in the community, you're just be like, oh my God, this is great. And it's great to be around people who get it. You know what I mean? Like, nothing against civilians out there, people who didn't serve, but when you're around other veterans, it's like you just get it automatically. Like we know exactly what the struggle is and was. And so it's cool to see, other veterans getting into the industry like this, because, we were talking before, and that's when you shared it with me. I didn't get to say this, but one of the longtime dreams I've had for the industry and something I want to do is, when we're getting out, we're doing that whole processing thing, all those briefings from those different businesses and different schools. There's nobody from cannabis right now, which makes sense. It's federally legal. But in the future, once that changes, I really want to go to the bases and start proposing cannabis industry to veterans getting out.
So smart.
Yeah, it'd be a great opportunity because we don't know what the hell we're doing when we get out. It's either school, you contract for the government, or you do security.
Or trade schools.
Trade schools. Yeah, school in general. And so those are kind of like what you feel your options are. But, a lot of them don't know that you can jump into cannabis right away. I mean, you got your degree while you're, in the Army and everything. And then you got out and got a job in cannabis right away. Yeah. So congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, regardless of, everyone's opinions on, the company, Cookies and everything, the job went to someone local. Someone local gets to benefit from that. And that I can be happy for all day, And that's something great is they pick someone local.
And I feel like it's important to have someone local just because nobody's going to understand the area or the place that you're trying to sell to more than the person that's from there.
100%.
And I feel like not a lot of people understand El Paso's, Las Cruces, and Sunland Park's, and even Mexico's audience and how to cater it to it because it's very unique. Yeah. It's very unique out here. It's very different. There are different types of aesthetics and lifestyles here. So I'm happy I get to be someone that can mediate that and can kind of cater and create something different here in El Paso / Cookies, New Mexico. So it's super nice. I like it.
And you're starting somewhere where you have a lot of leeway and you have a lot of resources to pull from. you know?
No, yeah, definitely. Yeah. And what I love about this is that even though we have this little place called Little Dubai, and we have a lot of competitors, and there's like competitors here in Cruces, you know, everybody's very connected in the community, and there's a lot of people who are willing to collaborate and help each other because everybody's in this together, right? I don't know, I'm getting a little nervous, guys. Be patient with me. But be a little patient with me. But I have noticed that it's a very giving community. A very giving community of cannabis and consumers. So I appreciate that a lot. I've learned a lot from other dispensaries, and I've learned a lot from you in the past 5 minutes that we've talked. You know, like it's super nice, and it's super amazing to experience. So, yeah.
Well, welcome. You're going to be learning just a lot more. And, you know, to be honest, all of us are learning. You know, there's so much we're figuring out about this cannabis plant and the industry itself that, you know, you're coming in at a great time, because I'm still learning too about certain things. You know, there's certain things that, you know, pop up on my mind or pop up on my feed, and I'm like, well, shit, I didn't know that. You know,
literally, I'm like, oh, okay. I'm all okay.
Yeah.
And then okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a lot of different things, but it's super fun. You're always on your toes, but in a good way.
Yeah.
It's a good way.
It's one of those industries where you're not going to know everything about it till the day you die, and that's something I love. You know, you'll never get bored.
No, literally, and I think there's new studies coming out, right, with cannabis when it comes to how people react to weed or like different strains differently, like their metabolism processes it differently. So indica, sativa, and hybrid aren't really like the set feeling factors for whenever you consume it. So that's super nice to read up on, like the terpenes or the terpenes. I'm telling you guys, I'm new, but I'm trying.
No, you are. You're trying. You're doing a great job.
Like all that good stuff, it contributes to your experience when smoking cannabis. So it's super cool to see the changes and the categories that cannabis is going to eventually fall into, you know? So it's super nice. I like it.
It is, yeah. You know, you're in a great time, because, you know, these studies, you know, especially with the terpenes, and now they're finding out that, you know, the Tropicana sulfurs, you know, which is like the citrus smells and stuff like that, and super sweet ones. They're different from the terpenes and this and that, and we're finding out more. And it's not just about the THC. And yes, you know, sativa and indica, it was a thing of the past essentially, you know, and it was something that was using correctly to start out with. You know, and so now we're just trying to find what's the more correct way to go about this, you know, and not confuse the consumers, you know, because, you know, everything's so hybridized that you can't say sativa or indica.
I feel like we're in a time with cannabis where instead of trying to tell people like this is how you're gonna feel, we're in a time where we have to ask customers, how have you felt when smoking this, or how have you felt when trying this? Everybody metabolizes everything very differently, so I feel like now it's more of a consulting type of transaction or interaction that you have with the person that's trying to buy the cannabis. I feel like now, instead of telling them, oh, this is a hybrid, this is a sativa, it's more like, how do you feel when you smoke this, or how do you feel when you smoke that? And then that's where the bud tender or whoever it is that's trying to sell to whoever caters to that person's, you know, feelings or how they process that specific strain. So there's just so much that comes into it, and it's interesting. It's very interesting, and I can't wait to learn more and to finally see the set, like, okay, this is how it is, you know? Like, I'm excited.
I can always tell when someone was in the military, because we tend to learn really quickly.
Yeah, we do. I'm over here, I also get very anxious. You know, I get very anxious when I don't know anything. So I've been studying up. I'm like, okay, this is what we do, or I'll listen to people. I'm like, okay, mental note there. It's fun. I'm grateful for the characteristics I took out of the Army, because it's definitely helped me out in my civilian side. I can definitely see that. Me too. Especially, you know, if you guys didn't know, I went to the Institute of Fort Huachuca, and that's where I learned how to interrogate, but I also learned how to interview. So that's why Do you like weed or not? You better like weed.
Who smoked my joint?
Yeah, you better like it. I went to school for this.
We didn't do that sometimes. I'm just kidding. But yeah, you know, there's certain characteristics. I stumbled upon that too, or stumbled on that too, that I use from the Army as well. You know, especially even on the show. You know, a lot of it. You know, it goes hand in hand, and it's really useful, to be honest. You know, in the end of the day.
How many times have you met someone and you have to get along with them right away in the Army?
Oh God.
Exactly. And like nowadays, you try to meet someone, and they're like, oh, like they're not trying as much as I am. It's so awkward. No, with you right away, it clicked, and like you can, like you said, you can tell when someone's been out of the army.
Yeah, exactly. And and the fact that you think you don't know a lot, but you actually know a lot. You've learned a lot in your short time, and I can tell already. Just with the short conversation, I'm like, you think you don't know a lot, but you actually know quite a bit for just not even a year in the industry.
You probably look at me like, this chick is a liar. This chick is a liar. No, I just have ADHD.
I was like, you're in the army. You're just all of us have ADHD in the freaking military.
Yeah, I just have ADHD and I get anxious.
That's how they get the dress thing down so hard on us. But one thing I was going to ask too is, how different is it marketing for cannabis than it is in other industries too? That's one thing I really wanted to ask somebody in marketing, because it's different. It's totally different.
It's very different. It's kind of scary actually, because you have this black and white picture when it comes to cannabis to people who are open to it and people who aren't. So you have people that are very like, no, cannabis is so bad. It's actually drugs no. And then you have the people that are like, yeah. And there's never really an in-between. And it's kind of hard to market to these two demographics. I come from marketing in fitness. So before this marketing position, I would market for a fitness apparel brand, like a fitness clothing brand. Yeah. So with that one, it was a lot easier. You have your general audience, right? You have your audience that's like catered to only fitness, a certain age group. So it's super easy to market to those people, because it's like that's your audience. Yeah. Whereas with cannabis, you have all the demographics.
It's like unlimited.
Yeah, it's unlimited. You have your bikers, your car guys, your regular 9-to-5 girls, your business owners. It's a lot of people that smoke weed. So it's super hard to cater to a specific audience. Yeah. So it's very different. Yeah. It's very different. But I feel like what we can do as a cannabis industry is just bring more awareness to cannabis and make it open-hearted. It's not something to be ashamed of. A lot of people use it for medical reasons, personal reasons. It's a for all. Yeah. It's a for all experience, you know? So I just feel like marketing in this specific industry is just showing people that it's okay, that weed is not something to be ashamed of, that it can be used correctly and it can be used beneficially. Like it could benefit you as a person. On a personal base, it's benefited me. Yeah. I love it. It's helped me grow. It's helped me feel better. And it's just something I fell in love with. Everybody's different, obviously. But I feel like marketing weed, like cannabis to people, would be just having them fall in love with it, having them fall in love with the community, having them fall in love with the people. Instead of showing the product, it's showing yourselves as a community. These dispensaries, Cookies aside, everybody involved, I'm positive everybody is trying their best to really show them like, hey, we love our community, we love the people that work with us, we are a big family. And it's just showing that to the people. That's where that fall within that gray area of like, oh, I hate it, or I don't like it, or I like it. So it's just catering to the people around you. Yeah. So it's a little interesting, but like I said, once you learn how to market weed, you can market anything. Yeah. So it's true. That's how it lies for me as well. Yeah. So
and marketing is even more challenging because we run into the federal regulations where we can't do a lot of things. Yeah. You know, through the state law and through federal law. I run into that even with the show. That's why it's on the podcast. It's not on the radio because we can't say cannabis. I say fuck way too much.
Yeah. We were in the army. What did you expect?
Yeah. What do you expect from me? Like, what do you want from me? Civilians don't like that. But there's a reason why things are the way they are, and it is more challenging. And being in the army, you probably like the challenge, to be honest.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
bring it on.
Yeah, that's kind of the way I look at this too. Someone told me that I wasn't going to be able to change the cannabis industry and the laws here, and I kind of doubled down after that. I was like, I'll show you.
Yeah, that changed a few actually.
Yeah.
No, I'm proud of you, man. That takes a lot, and like you are a voice here in Las Cruces, and it's an honor to get to meet you today and get to hear like your spiel of things, how you plan to take this, like what do you want to do? I feel like you're asking me, but I also want to know you more, so like what do you want to do?
Oh, no, I'm being interviewed.
It's my show. It's my show.
So really what I'm trying to do, what I want to do, and a lot of people that know me know this, is I just want something good for New Mexico. Like I'm born and raised here. I've joined the military, of course, left to Hawaii for years, and I have a piece of my heart over there. But I just want something good for my state for once. And cannabis I saw was something that was going to be great for us. And so all I want is just for the industry to thrive. I just want what's good for the industry and New Mexico. And that's kind of why the show exists. I want everyone to get educated, because when we went legal, we kind of just opened the floodgates and said good luck. You know, we didn't provide any education. You know, there's don't get me wrong, back then there wasn't as much, but you know, we just kind of just threw everybody out into the water and said, if you can swim, cool. You know, if you can't, well,
sorry.
Yeah, fish food. You know, so you know, that's kind of what I'm trying to change. Is I'm trying to give everybody the education, trying to keep everybody in the know, show them how to fight versus being the only one to fight. You know, there's a difference. It gets tiring being the only one fighting. You know, like, you know, you can only do so much, but you know, if everyone knows how to fight, you know, we can fight together and fight for the same thing. So that's on a long but short way of really what I want for New Mexico. You know, just what I want and what I want to accomplish. Yeah.
I feel that way, but for Texas.
That's great. You know, like,
you know, like it sucks. It sucks knowing that there's a state that doesn't legalize it right across the street from somewhere that's legal, you know? So it kind of puts a lot of consumers at risk, you know? And it's kind of scary. It's kind of scary, you know what I mean? So
you're a football throw away from, you know, totally different laws.
You're a smell away from being behind bars or, you know, getting a misdemeanor. It's kind of scary, and it just shows how important cannabis is in some people's lives. You know? They're willing to go through such lengths. So I feel that way. The way you feel is the way I feel for Texas. I wish Texas would be a little more lenient and maybe invest a little more in opening doors for cannabis there. But we'll see. That's definitely not a conversation for me. But like it's something that I do foresee or wish to see happen. Well,
to let you know, around your age is when I started advocating. So I mean, you're just at the ripe age.
Are you trying to recruit me? Are you trying
for
to
Texas, maybe? Yeah, maybe for Texas. We need good people.
That's true.
I know a lot of advocates for the Texas thing. So
nice.
You know, that's you know, the thing about it is, you know, there's a lot of young people that need to get involved. You know, is what I'm saying. You know, and you get the experience here in New Mexico and you take it over to Texas. You know, and what we do here, you can kind of figure out what works for Texas, you know, because I tell people this all the time, you know, this isn't Michigan, this isn't Colorado, this isn't Washington, you know, this isn't Las Vegas, this is New Mexico. What you did in those states, cool. It may or may not work here. Most likely it's not going to work here, especially the way that you did it. If we do it, we have to do it our own way. You know, we have to do it differently. Like here in New Mexico, we didn't put a cap on licenses because we had a cap on licenses when we were medical. And that was terrible. Like
educate me. I want to hear more.
From 2007 to about 2011, 12, to about 2014, I think, there was like no licenses. There was very few. Then they opened it up and we got to the 30 licenses where we're at around 2015, 16, I think. And we only had 30 dispensaries. I lived in Alamogordo at the time. It's about an hour from here. And there was no dispensary there. You know, you had to go to Ruidoso or here in Cruces. So one was going through a border check. An hour drive, and the other one's up a mountain. So like I only had two options. And I realized that homegrown needs to be more available for people in New Mexico because we're so rural, you know, and we can't put a cap on licenses because there needs to be dispensaries more available to people in these rural areas. And we need to give people time to set up because not everybody has the capital right away to do this. Some people are building up, even now as I speak, there's people building up trying to get their licenses. That's why I'm huge against closing licenses, you know, like, everyone knew what they were getting into when they started this industry. When they got into it, they knew exactly that the fact that they may or may not make it. And it's not my fault if they do or don't, you know, and that's a sad truth, but it's an honest truth. And it's hard to swallow for some people. And I get it. This is your livelihood, but you shouldn't have bet the whole farm. You know, like, do not bet the whole farm.
All your eggs in one basket.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of people did that. Some people did great doing that, but most of the majority of people, they lost out.
It's like,
you know?
It's like gambling.
Yeah,
you know?
It's gambling.
You either win or you lose.
Yeah.
Like,
And if you're not willing to put in the work, you know, you're not going to have a good brand at the end of the day, a good product or any of that. That's why some of these brands and products are doing so well is because they're putting in that work. You know, they're doing the right things. They're showing up to events. It's easy to show up to events. And I keep telling people that. I'm like, all you got to do is show up. 98% of this is showing up.
I feel like the importance of any dispensary, Cookies or whatever dispensary it is just to set up a brand image.
Yeah.
Like, all you have to do is brand yourself, and once you brand yourself, you can market yourself. Yeah. That's literally all you have to do at first. Yeah. And like how you said it, sadly, some people just can't do it correctly, or they just aren't. They have no. They have no direction of how to take things, you know. Yeah. So yeah, it's hard. Like I said, catering to so many people, you know, and then especially with what you just mentioned, it's even harder.
Yeah, the spectrum is so wide.
It's just a huge. It's like getting answered a big question.
Yeah, it is.
Like you're like, what?
Yeah, it's
like, can you please clarify?
Yeah.
So yeah, I didn't know that. See, now I made another mental note.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna add that for the next one.
Yeah, there you go. Then that's why we shouldn't close licenses in New Mexico. We're just too rural, and we're still getting set up. We're not even a stable industry yet to do that. They're doing things to kind of slow the licensing down, and I get them. Some of mom and pops are losing out, but who's to say that even if they close the licenses, you're gonna stick around and be around? Because if you're a failing business now, you're still going to be a failing business if they close the license. Because who's to say what you're doing isn't working because of saturation? Maybe it's just not working because the customers don't like it.
I feel like that just becomes an internal problem. It's not even it's like how you said, it's not your fault.
Yeah.
I feel like it's just a lot of business owners. It's all internal.
Yeah.
It depends who's prideful. It depends who's not. It depends who's willing to put in the work. It's internal.
Yeah,
I believe
it is.
From what I hear, it's very internal.
It is, and most of the problems that these businesses have come from internal. They expanded too quickly. They're spending money on the wrong things. The owner's taking 10 vacations a month. The employees are being treated terribly. They're stealing employees' tips and getting sued. That a lot of that's happening right now as I speak, which is unfortunate. Don't steal tips, guys. I try to remind you all the time. It's illegal. Yeah, it's very illegal. But yeah, these things are happening, and I feel like they shouldn't. But we're still not stable. We're not a stable market yet. We haven't even reached year 3. We're going into year 3.
Do you ever foresee bud tending becoming some sort of profession like that require kind of like a managing position requires experience? Do you think bud tending at any point in time will ever be like a profession where people have to go to some sort of schooling, some sort of education system so they can learn a little more about the product and have some I'm just thinking right now, right? You got my brain going. Do you ever think that's something that's going to happen?
So right now there's actually training, and I think there is certification for bud tenders in the state, like a servicer. So bud tenders should be educated as is, but they're not implementing that. So right now the bar of entry is very low. Now I kind of see it going, I hate to use the comparisons, but like a bartender route. You have different levels of bartenders. You have the Las Vegas guys who make 80, 100K a year just because they're badasses and they're working in some of the most fancy bars in the world. Then you have the podunk guys down the road that, work in the dive bars, and they're making maybe, 40 grand a year, 60, 50 grand a year. What I'm trying to say is that I think we're going to have levels of different bud tenders until we get to a stable market where we're here with the best of the best dispensaries that are left over. I think we're going to be stuck with that different level. And I think we're probably 4 or 5 years away before we can get to a level where it's going to be able to do that. Yeah, where we can put the bud tender higher on a pedestal. And to be honest, some of the bud tenders in Sunland Park are so stellar that they are creating the thought of the bud tender is very knowledgeable. The bud tender is the one you need to ask, and that's the way it should be. Because some of them, I talk to them and I'm like I got a freaking just excitement just having this conversation with you kind of thing, and some of them are just really killing it and really setting precedents of what a bud tender should be. It shouldn't be a, what do you want? Because they're the guy that has access to the weed. It should be a, hey, what's going on? What's working for you right now? Blah, blah, blah. How's your day going? What are you looking for? Some uplifting, some little sedative. Are you looking for an edible? Some people don't do that. It's simple, but some don't do that. And a lot of it falls back to management and ownership, and the lack of training. A lot of the owners that I've run into, some of them are just trying to get the sale. Sale. I get it. We're trying to make money. But at the end of the day, this is medicine, regardless of use. We call everybody a patient, regardless of if you're using it to go to a party or if you're going home trying to just sleep. We call you a patient, and that's kind of how most of us feel with it. So I kind of feel that in the future that, yes, we may get to that point, but I have a feeling for a long time we'll still be stuck with those levels. Yeah, you'll have the higher end bud tenders, then you have the lower end bud tenders.
It depends on the market.
Yeah.
Where the business is located. Kind of like you said, Vegas. The Vegas bartender and an El Paso bartender probably don't make the same thing.
Yeah, no, not even close. Not unless they bartend and strip. Oh, that's great. Oh, I love it. Yeah, you can tell she was in the army. I thought it was great. I thought it was funny. But yeah, we're gonna have that different level. So yeah, that's kind of what I feel going on. But one thing I did notice, we haven't even talked about cookies yet. So let's jump in, and I'm sure some of you are itching to hear about it, and to talk about it. So let's talk about cookies for a little bit. Can you give us a little background on cookies, maybe a little bit of history of it?
So like I said, I'm a little I'm new to this industry, but from what I know, Cookies was founded in 2008 by Burner and by Jay. Burner is a huge rapper. If you guys haven't listened to his music, listen to El Chivo. That's my favorite song. But aside from that, they were founded in 2008. They came out with this strain called the Girl Scout cookies, and it just became a huge thing. It became a huge thing in the Bay Area, California, and it just went up from there.
Yeah.
From what I remember, from what I know, they got what is it when a corporation gives you like a lawsuit for it's on the top of my mind. The Girl Scout cookies sent like
they got a cease and desist.
A cease and desist.
Cease and desist.
They sent one to Cookies saying, hey, you can't use his name. So they changed it up a bit. I mean, that's the foundation and the beginnings of Cookies. But as I started working with them a little more, I've noticed that Cookies is more than just selling weed and just selling marijuana. They really care about their medical patients. They care about their recreational patients. Like, they care about everybody. They make sure they make good quality weed for people to consume. Like, this isn't just a shop that you go to, they want to make the best possible quality products for the customer. And I fell in love with the fact that Cookies also really advocates for drug violence. People who have been involved in drug violence, they have programs for them. They also have something called Cookies U, where they allow the consumers, if they want to learn more about the market or the industry, where they give them the opportunity to visit their growing facilities and learn more about the product in itself. So I think that's super cool, especially with how we mentioned earlier, weed is changing. The feelings of weed, what comes with it, how you smoke it. So it's super cool that Cookies has these things available for its customer base. That way they can learn more for themselves. So I think it's super cool that they have that. And then another thing, they're very in touch with locals, with the local community. Right now we're speaking with the Never Too Late Foundation, where they house children who have been through domestic violence, SA. They've been through like drug violence, and they help put these kids in homes and take care of them. And I'm proud enough to say that Cookies is trying to build a relationship with foundations in the local community like that, because it just shows that we care more than just getting high in your basement, and all that good stuff. It's more community based, and I want people to see that. I want people to see that weed is not just about having fun. It's about other shit.
You can say shit.
Other stuff. not my unprofessional side coming out. Yeah. But no, like it's more than just cannabis, and that's what I've learned to love about Cookies. So yeah, like maybe I am a little new to this, and maybe I still have a lot to learn. But from what I've seen, it's nothing but positive. So yeah, I can see why you're advocating as much as you are for cannabis. It's impressive, and I can't wait to learn more about it.
Awesome, yeah, and I can tell you're taking an interest in advocating, so I can see something. You
might recruit me. It's like Texas, here I go.
I already got two Padawans from Texas, so just add more, I guess. But yeah, that's cool. I didn't know a lot of that stuff in the programs that Cookies provides, and that's something that I usually try to ask certain dispensaries as well. What do you bring to the community? What do you here for the what are you gonna do for the community that you're here? Especially the ones that come from out of state, because like a lot of people are questionable about that. Like, what are they doing here? Why are we here? Because let's be honest, guys. Yes, Cookies is from out of state, but so are some of the dispensaries in Sunland Park that are across the street from Cookies, and then some that are in Sunland Park themselves, and some that are here in Cruces as well. So, let's be honest, there's a lot of out-of-state companies here. It's not just one company. And a lot of these companies that are out-of-state, a lot of you go to too. So it's not just one place. Mm-hmm. And you guys do support local brands, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right now, we do work with Big Chicken Farm, Green Paradise. We work with what's the other one? Headspace. Mm-hmm. We have really good dispensaries that work alongside us. I've learned so much through them as well. Their products are amazing. It's such a community it's a community-based industry, and here in El Paso at least, and I've loved to see it. I love to see it. We just had a grand opening event last week on Saturday. Yeah. Did you like it?
It was cool.
Did you
Yeah.
have fun? What did you think about the cars and all that good stuff?
The lowriders always love seeing lowriders myself. I went there to go support Christian. You know, and it was really great to see that much of a turnout in Sunland Park. It was so busy. Like I've never seen Sunland Park that packed.
It was actually really organized.
Yeah, it really was.
Literally, the end of the day, it was spotless.
Yeah,
clean. It was so nice. But it's super nice seeing like all these other dispensaries join us for events like that, because it just shows that it's not, even though we're an out-of-state company, we came here with nothing but like authentic love for the people who grow here, the people who, you know, work and open their dispensary here. It shows love for all the products and the different ways of making cannabis and like giving it to the consumers. So it's super nice seeing that. And all the companies I've had the privilege to work with, they know what they're doing, they love what they do, and they make really good products as well. So it's super nice seeing that in general. Yeah. So, I love working with the local community and the local dispensaries.
That's dope.
Stuff is good. Headspace is really good. I love your infused joints. I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, and infused joints seem to be like the thing right now too.
Yeah,
especially hash holes. You know, hash holes are like the thing and like the craze. But you know, I like hash holes too. They taste good sometimes. Sometimes you get a different type of flavor. You get the flower flavor, you get the rosin flavor, mix it together, and you get, you know, something totally different. You get like
the citrus flavor. I've been falling in love with the citrus flavor. Yeah. I love it. It tastes so good. It's so smooth. It's so good.
I'm a citrus whore too. Don't worry.
Really?
Yeah.
I know we talked about strip clubs. That's cute.
Oh, I'm a total whore for the citrus terps, dude. It's bad.
They taste good. They make it extremely enjoyable. So I could see why they're incorporating them more in the industry. It's a good experience.
Yeah, and like I said, the Tropicana sulfurs and everything we're finding out, you know, is one of the purposes for that flavor. And you know, who knows? Maybe grape will be something else totally different too. So we'll see. Because I like the grape terps too. You know,
I haven't tried much of them.
Really?
But you know what? After this, I'm gonna go to Cookies and be like, hey, you guys got any grapes?
Give me that grape
like that duck. I don't know if I'm too old saying this, but the duck meme on YouTube when you were little, it's like, hey, got any grapes?
Oh my God.
Do you remember that?
So
I'm literally going to do that when I go back.
They used to play that commercial during Channel 1 in high school. I don't know if you guys had Channel 1 when you were in high school. Yeah, they played that commercial in Channel 1. Yeah, I'm old too. Yeah, I'm real old. I don't know if you younger kids, you know, have Channel 1 or anything, you know, like 21-year-olds, but had Channel 1 in high school or not. But yeah, it was like a news thing for high school kids, made by high school kids. Yeah.
I remember that. It was like when I was...
Yeah.
I was so baby. You probably had that when you were like in high school.
Yeah, I was in high school. I remember that. Got any grapes? And I remember that. Yeah. Got any grapes? And we're like,
that's me. I'm about to go all the terpene stores. Got any grapes? There's not even a terpene store, bro. I'm over here. Got any grapes?
I'm waiting for that cultivar to come out. That's going to be called Got Any Grapes?
Oh yeah, that's gonna be great. But I don't know how they're gonna officially brand that name.
I don't know. We'll see.
It's like a name. It's a name in its own. Eh?
I mean, it's easy when you walk into a shop. Got any grapes? Oh, I know what you want.
There you go.
Yeah. So what are some other community plans that you guys have in store? You know, lately. I know you had the grand opening. You know, it was a success. What do you guys have planned now?
So when it comes to involving the community a little more, I definitely want to start, kind of like you, a podcast, and just incorporate these nonprofit organizations on these podcasts and just give them a platform to speak. Just because, you know, you don't really spot these people. You don't spot these people. You stumble across a booth or two, you know, you hear about it, but they don't really have that like media coverage that they should, you know. And so I want Cookies to be a little bit more of a supporter for the people that need their voices heard. So Never Too Late Foundation is definitely one of them. And I can't wait to get in touch more with the community and learn more about other nonprofit organizations and bring them on board and have them speak their mind, talk about something other than cannabis, you know, talk about their struggles, talk about what they do to help the community and what Cookies can potentially do to help them as well. So that's something that I want to lean towards too, helping the community a little more. So yeah, like it's going to be challenging, but it definitely needs to be covered. You know, it definitely needs to be voiced, and like I can't wait for that. Yeah.
Anything worth is going to be a challenge. So, you know, it's just, you know, if you're willing to fight for it or not.
Something we all relate to, you know, back to marketing cannabis, something we all relate to is pain. But pain is something that's extremely relatable with everybody. Everybody can relate to pain. And when you see someone that is advocating for pain, you know, you can't help but feel for them as well, and feel what they're feeling. That's the only relatable emotion that you're forever gonna have, for sure, audience with, because everybody feels pain, you know, and everybody feels empathy, and if you don't, that's fucking crazy. But like, it's important to give these people the coverage. It's all fun and games, you know. We can make a cooking edit every now and then, or we can make a funny reel, which I definitely do want to do, you know, but it's very important to touch on these matters, because they're not brought to light as much as they should be.
No, they should. And you know, there does need to be a little bit more teamwork with other businesses here in the industry, of course, and that's something I've been pushing for a long time. It's just so many do refuse to work with each other on certain things. I get it, if you had a bad experience with the business and they did you wrong in a certain way, you know, that's fine. But you know, there's just some who just refuse just right away. You know, I don't want to work with them because this, but they'll work with someone else. You know, say I don't want to work with them because they're from out of state, but then you look at, you know, they're doing an event and 5 of their sponsors are from out of state. And you're like, well, obviously you're lying, because you're supporting all of these here. You know, like this company's from Colorado, this one's from Oregon, this one's from Washington, you know, this one, whatever, you know, you guys are still supporting these people. So it's kind of like, you know, pick your poison kind of situation. But at the end of the day, we all need to be working together for the betterment of our industry, you know, and for the patients too. The customers are the ones who dictate our industry. You know, like we can sell whatever all day, but if the customers don't like it, they're not going to buy it.
Exactly. Yeah. I feel like when it comes to working together in this industry, El Paso is like a mine gold for that. And people don't really realize, a lot of these owners don't really realize that in El Paso, it's extremely community based. Extremely. You can market through social media, and you can market, but if you're not in touch, and if you're not engaged with your audience as much as you should be, it's not going to be there for you. It's not going to be there for you. And the proper way to do it is to really work with each other, because then you got different demographics. Like, okay, what audience do they have? What audience do we have? You know, like, and it's just like if we learn to work together and you're confident in your own product, like, you're going to be okay. You know, you're going to be okay. But it, like you said, a lot of people don't really like working with each other based off of experiences. So there's not much you can do about it. But it's, like, theoretically speaking, if these companies were to just be like, all right, differences aside, let's work together, let's really target like how we want to stay relevant within our area, it becomes better. It becomes way better, and you can start making even bigger plans. You know, there's different ways to approach this. And
speaking of, you know, how have the other, you know, Little Dubai businesses been with you guys showing up? Have they been pretty supportive?
They've been very supportive. For the most part. I've known from my time of being at Cookies, the people around us, they have their own differences, but for the most part, it's been amazing. Having the people next to us, you know, you have different demographics visiting different stores based off of their own aesthetics. So it's super nice to see like what kind of people are in El Paso. It's like, okay, well, you have people that prefer this dispensary, and that's okay, you know, but that's because it falls within their aesthetic or within their rights, you know. So it's super nice seeing all that. So I have nothing bad to say when it comes to the other dispensaries. If anything, it's nothing good. It's everything good, because no matter what, people are bringing in foot traffic, you know. Whether if Cookies bring something and someone doesn't like something on Cookies, they have other options, and vice versa, you know. So I think it's perfect, and it would be even more perfect if everybody just, you know, started working a little more with each other. But I love it. It's nice.
Yeah, and to be honest, you know, like the grand opening event you guys had, that was an opportunity for the other dispensaries that are around you guys to get sales too, because people would go there, and to be honest, it was so packed and the line was so long that other people were just going to other dispensaries anyway. You know, just because it was too busy, and they're like, oh, I don't want to wait, I want to go get something now. And to be honest, it helped other businesses, you know, that were there. Or they would go to Cookies, and then they would go to like Dark Matter or something across the street, you know, or they would go somewhere else right afterwards. They were dispensary hopping, which is what we want.
Kind of like bar hopping. You definitely want to. Before I started working at Cookies, I did that a lot. Especially because I'm like, oh my god, I love weed. Coming out of the army, I'm like, smoke one joint, and I'm officially a stoner. I was like, I'm gonna try every weed from every place. I'm pretty sure there's, if not one, a lot of people that are experiencing the same thing, and they just want to experience every other. All right, let's see what this person has. Let's see what that person has. Let's see what this person has.
And that's how it should be.
Yeah, it really should be like that. And eventually it would get there. Kind of like how you said, eventually.
Yeah, eventually it will. You know, and some people kind of do. I mean, I know I do it. You know, I try something whenever I go somewhere. especially when I go out of state and there's, you know, legal cannabis of some sort. Like I went to Hawaii, I went back and visited, and I got my reciprocity medical cannabis card. I was like, I'm gonna check out all the dispensaries. I did, and it was cool. And, you know, I did reviews and, you know, met with the people in the industry there. It's real cool to do that, you know, and you get to see how your state compares to others on certain things, you know, like over there, for the medical cannabis program, they have a 14 rolling day period for how much you can get. Here in New Mexico, it's 90 days.
Oh.
So yeah, we have to wait a long time. Now it's 8 ounces versus 4 ounces, but you know, it's only 2 weeks you have to wait versus another 30 days. And many people in the cannabis industry, when we're medical only, especially back then, would go over that limit. You know, I've done it like a couple times myself. So it's things like that you could think about, like, oh wow, we should change it to that.
Yeah,
you know,
we should all have the same.
Yeah.
The more the better.
Yeah, exactly. You know, like make it a month. Fuck.
Please.
Yeah, instead of free. That's crazy. So yeah, but that's great. You know, and you know, I was really curious because, you know, a brand like Cookies going to Sunland Park just adds more competition to what's already there. You know, we already have dispensaries down there that make $1 million a month. You know, and now it just adds more competition. You know, how are you going to keep up with that $1 million a month when you have a big brand like that also moves in, you know, right next door, and then you have all this other stuff going on there too. And Little Dubai is weird because a lot of Texans don't like going past that bridge. I've noticed, you know, like that's more like local Sunland Park.
Yeah, it is. It is very local. It's very local, and surprisingly, it's very out of country as well.
Yeah.
It's very out of country. I feel like with Cookies already having a brand image of its own coming in, people are definitely going to be curious. You know, I've noticed a lot of people, or the consumer base in El Paso is very loyal.
Yeah.
And I'm like that too. I've been ordering the same sandwich from Subway for like since as long as I can remember. So like, imagine just a new competing brand coming in. You know, it's like it's already in its own image, and then you have these established industries that have been there for a while and built that loyalty with that customer. So it is a little complicated, but I feel like everybody eventually finds what they like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Everybody, kind of like myself, I know what I like, I know what I don't like, and I feel like Cookies being there, it's gonna give that attention to Little Dubai. It's like, oh, did you see that Cookies open there? People are gonna visit Cookies, and then boom, they see that there's more, and I feel like I'm not the one to say, you know, like that, oh, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do it. I want everybody to win. I want all the corporations and industries to be able to sell their product in the happiest ways. You know, everybody wants that. But I definitely do think that the challenge for us will be to, you know, hey, like, you do like it over there, but maybe our product might suit you better. You know, like everybody, like I said, everybody takes weed very differently. You know, everybody metabolizes it very different. There's people that can probably not metabolize Cookies as well as other businesses, you know? So it just depends on each person's palate. Yeah. But I feel like the approach I would take would just to personalize and give Cookies more of the brand image that it deserves. Over the years, people see Cookies and it's like, oh yeah, they're cool, you know, like all the cars and the lowriders and all that good stuff. And it's been beautiful. It's still part of us. It's still part of our culture, but it's more. Yeah. We do more than just, you know, the cool lowriders, the cool DJs, the cool food events, the meet and greets. It's more than that. Yeah. You know, so I feel like bringing light to it just a little bit might just give us the attention that we need to you know battle these corporations that have had their time there and their loyal customer base, you know. Yeah. So that's all I could think of. Yeah. I'm like,
that's a great answer. That's what I was trying to tell you. You know, that's a great answer because, you know, a lot of people have misconceptions on many things, you know, or they don't look on several different lights of things. And, you know, at the end of the day, you know, business is business, you know, and you guys are the same business as anyone else. You just happen to be based out of somewhere else, but locally the people who own it are from New Mexico and from the area. You know, they're partnered with them, which is cool. You know, that's a lot of other brands too that are around the state. It's kind of like how Cheech and Chong got here. You know, that's kind of how that happened. That's up in Albuquerque. We don't have one down here.
Imagine.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. Who knows? That might be opening up a Sunland Park too. Who knows? There's all kinds of stuff going to Sunland Park. Yeah,
that's too much. That's enough.
Whoa!
There's like 10 dispensaries on there already. Like,
yeah.
And
you have some that are like 3 of them right next to each other in the same like building. You know, like it's wild. So like,
it's kind of cute. We're all like this, you know, like.
And everyone kind of, you know, knows everything going on. You know, you guys are so close to each other. You know, like shop wise. You know, like outside of you guys, there's what 5 or 6 dispensaries like right outside your door, essentially. You know,
Yeah,
so
they're right outside your door. Honestly, you know what it feels like? It feels like a mall.
Yeah.
All these stores competing with each other right next to each other.
Cannabis strip mall.
It's like, don't go to Spencer's, go to Hot Topic. You know, like it's that's what it feels like. And I feel like eventually, like how you said, it's gonna fall into its own market.
Yeah.
But I think it's nice. Little 10 neighbors.
Yeah, a bunch of little competitors. You know. And competition's great. You know, it's good for, you know, people. And if you're not competing, maybe you're just not competing at a certain level. Maybe you need to step it up. Maybe you need to do more marketing. You know, maybe you need to look at your product, because at the end of the day, you can have whatever you like, but if the customer doesn't like it, they're not gonna buy it.
Exactly.
You know, like I don't like onions, but if my customers like onions, I'm gonna get onions and I'm gonna deal with it. You know, like
you have to cater to the people around you. Right?
Exactly.
So,
I mean, I sell them things, so why wouldn't I?
That's true.
It only makes sense. So yeah, you know, and being in Little Dubai, it's very competitive over there. You know, like very competitive. It's one of the healthiest markets in the state, next to, you know, the other Texas touching parts of the state. So, you know, it shows you that Texans are willing to go really far to get cannabis in the area. And
it does show. It's impressive.
Yeah,
for sure.
it is. But yeah, I mean, thank you so much. Is there anything else you want to add before we move on to the next conversation? What does Cookies having planned for the future?
So far, I feel like I'm not the proper person to ask that. I feel like Cookies is a growing market. It's a growing company. It has so many different paths of direction that it can take. I'm not the one that makes the decisions, but I just know that Cookies it's onto something better for sure. It's definitely something that I look forward to seeing, and I can't wait for it.
Nice.
Generally. Yeah.
Well, thank you. Well, where can people find you guys online and physically in person down in Sunland?
So physically in person, it's going to be 1500 Appaloosa. It's going to be right there, big bright blue building. You can't miss it.
Actually.
You can't miss that building, actually.
Yeah, I think it's really
Unless
blue.
you're colorblind. that's going to be complicated. I'm going to tell you, come here. I'll have to come here. It's right here. But there, or you can find us on Instagram, Sunland Cookies _Sunland.
Okay.
There you see all our updates. We drop our strains there. We drop what we will have available in store, events, all that good stuff. You will find it on our page, or you can just walk in store and we can fill you in.
Nice.
You know?
Awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty much what we have available. Just because, how you said, it's super hard to market, and on social media, cannabis in general, super hard.
Yeah.
You can get doxed for almost anything, so you have to get very creative.
Yeah.
You know, so you can find us there, or you can just come in store. Come say hi to me. Come say hi to my face, please. Please.
Oh, that's great.
But yeah.
I like the plug. That was a good one.
It's like your little professional drug dealer. Come talk to me.
So you do bud tend sometimes?
Yeah, I do.
Awesome.
I do work. I like working the floor just because I get to talk to the customer and I get to hear their opinions. Like,
That's cool.
It's super good for a marketer in general, just to know the people that are coming into the store. To be like, okay, like, what is this person like? Like, what does this person do? How does this person, you know, operate on their daily lives? Like it's good to know your customer base.
Yeah.
So I love working the floor.
Yeah.
I love it, and I learn more about the product in general.
Yeah. You gotta love your customer, not just the money.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you know.
And it's actually super cool. I've met some of the best people. I remember when I first worked the floor, I was so nervous. I didn't even know what to say. I have a lot of word vomit. I went up to this beautiful couple. They were the husband's in the army. They were stationed here. They were there with the wife, and it was right before the grand opening for Cookies. And I told them, I'm like, hey guys, like, welcome to Cookies. What are you guys looking for? And then they're like going off on these different strains. And I'm like, do you guys know about our grand opening? It's next week.
Out of nowhere.
I'm like, it's next week. And then they're like, oh, really? What day? I'm like, on the 17th. And they're like, our anniversary is on the 17th. And I'm like, you guys are the Cookies couple. And they're like, yes, we are. And then they tell me their whole life. And it's like, I didn't even know anything about the product as of yet or how to answer the question properly. But they still gave me the time of their day. And they still told me about their life. And I got to know them on a personal level, and then they were like, I'm coming back.
Yeah.
And I feel like those little interactions are what really create the preference of a store for a customer.
Yeah.
So it's very important to touch base with them and to get to know them. You know, it makes them feel seen, and customers want to feel seen, especially in this industry.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah.
No, people too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Cookies couple, if you remember me, like, hi. Hi. But yeah, like, I promise I know more now. But I remember that very first experience. I'm never gonna forget it because I thought it was so funny.
Yeah.
I was like, how random. I knew nothing, but they told me their whole life. It was super cute.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's a great experience, and that's smart that you actually work the floor still. A lot of people, they get away from it and then they get out of touch, of what the customer base wants, and then they're just kind of guessing, where to go, and then that's smart that you do that. But thank you so much for sharing that with me, sharing the cookie story, and all this other good stuff, and having that conversation. But we have a couple more conversations to get through before we end the show today.
Yeah, I feel like I just talked too much. Man.
No, you don't.
Tell me. Next question.
No, it's fine. These are great conversations, and I want to get it out there. It's important that some of these get out, and that we talk about these. So if it takes a couple hours, it's cool. But we'll jump on to the next conversation. We're going to be talking about you can and do and you should sue the government. And I'll give you guys an explanation. I'll give you some examples. So as you guys know, cannabis is legal here in New Mexico, but the local municipalities, they have a lot of power to do certain things, and sometimes they don't like cannabis, and so they do certain things to screw us over, or certain people within that city government don't like cannabis, like an individual, and they have the power to do whatever, essentially, and it kind of sucks. This is something that most industries deal with. However, most industries understand right away that you can sue the government anytime that you want. And I think a lot of businesses don't realize that you can't. We're so used to being illegal entities that we're afraid. But we can, and you should sue the government whenever they're wrong. Because all the government does is they don't create the law. The lawmakers create the law, but the local governments, they don't create the law. They just enforce the law, and they try to figure out how to go about it. And they're allowed to do their little ordinances and stuff like that, which have the backing of the law. But sometimes they get it wrong. And sometimes what they try to add isn't what's in the law, isn't what's said in the law, or they interpreted it the incorrect way. So you'll hear the state and you'll hear the cities will say, well, we interpret the law like this. And what that means is that if you don't agree with it, you have to take us to court and force the courts to interpret the law. And that's what's happening now slowly in the cannabis industry. Now, it happened on the medical side at the very beginning a few times, and Ultra Health was one of the main ones that did sue. That's actually why we don't have taxes on our cannabis. It's because some dispensaries or some cannabis companies sued the state and went to the state Supreme Court. The state Supreme Court said, oh, yeah, tax-free cannabis, you can't charge it. And that's actually also why we have workman comp here in New Mexico has to reimburse you for your cannabis. It's actually on their website, like right on the first page. That was due to a lawsuit. And so, to be honest, the state loses all of the time to cannabis. Let me say that again. The state loses all of the time to the cannabis industry. They have a terrible record when it comes to the cannabis industry. I think they've only won like 2 lawsuits out of like 15 or something like that.
Which were?
Adequate supply was one that they won, and to be honest, I still disagree with that ruling. And I forget what the other one was after that, but the adequate supply was one that the state actually won and we lost. But the rest we won. And now, where I'm sitting right now, Monster House is actually going to sue the city of Las Cruces for something similar when it comes to codes. And I already cleared with them. They told me it's cool to talk about it. You're like,
Me, I'm like,
oh my god, no, I told
cut
it.
the
Yeah,
show.
already. Because it's a good example. Because what happened is the codes that the city is enforcing and trying to put through, because this is the codes part of the city, not the city council, has forced certain businesses here in town to either go out of business, lose money, never be able to open, or never be able to operate. We have one consumption lounge here in town, and I think one of the reasons why is because of the issues with codes and other regulations and stuff like that. And to be honest, in the lawsuit that I saw in here, it seems that due to the codes and what they did to, like this business at Monster House, they lost a lot of money. They shut them down twice over something kind of ridiculous, to be honest. So I could see why. And to be honest, this needs to happen a lot more. So if you are a business that went through that through either Las Cruces or any other city or anything like that, sue them. Sue the city. Do it respectfully, of course. Don't be a jerk about it. But if the city loses, they have no choice but to abide by that, and the courts will ensure that happens. And so I want to just reiterate to everybody that you can sue. Please sue. Like, if there's something that's going wrong, we need to fix it. And it's either going to have to be fixed through the courts or legislature. I really have a couple options. But we have options, and it has to be done by you. You have to be the one that does it. And I wanted to bring this, example up because it's one of the more recent ones to happen. And if something like this changes, we might get more consumption lounges here in Las Cruces, because it's a bitch to open up consumption lounges here in Cruces due to the codes and the other enforcements and them being ridiculous. And I think it's them not liking cannabis. And I'm not saying the whole city does. It's the people within the code specifically, or within that area of the city government, that just don't like cannabis, they don't want to see it. All the while, we're allowing alcohol to just be this silent addiction that kills I don't know how many veterans a year.
It's not even veterans, families.
Well, I just mentioned that because you and I we're
that's
veterans, but it kills so many Americans and so many New Mexicans and Texans, El Pasoans. I mean, I don't know how many times I opened up El Paso Fit Fam on Instagram and someone died from a crash from a drunk driver, you know, and you know they didn't leave a consumption lounge; they left the bar.
I actually, in the year of 2021, I got sandwiched on the highway.
Oh my
by
God!
a drunk driver. Yeah.
Holy crap!
So it's like, it's super scary. You know, like I feel like everything is good in moderation. We're all adults. You know, we all know the rights from wrong. Whether it's alcohol, whether it's weed, I definitely do see a lot more cons with alcohol than cannabis.
Yeah.
So you speaking of this is actually perfect.
Yeah.
It's more than perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like, and it's weird to me because alcohol does all this, has all these issues, but cannabis gets the blame, and I never get that. It never makes sense to me. So that's why when it goes back into the government, it goes on their side too, and they start to believe that, and they start enforcing it in a weird way. And another example is when we first went legal in 2022, the whole state had adult sales. Everyone was roaring and growing, except Roswell. Roswell didn't promulgate any rules, and so they had no adult sales for like a good 4 or 5 months. And no one sued the city, no one sued city council, no one sued anybody. They just allowed it to happen. Like the business is trying to open up. And I kept telling them, I was like, guys, you need to sue the city. Like this is illegal. They are not allowed to ban cannabis sales. And what they're doing is they're banning cannabis sales by literally not doing their job. Like they almost refuse to make rules for cannabis so they could do that. And now if you look at Roswell, a lot of the businesses that are there are mostly corporate or businesses from out of state or bigger dispensaries that were there more medical. So it's very few in between mom and pop shops over there. And that's due to the fact that the local government there kind of dropped the ball and they just hated cannabis.
And it didn't get the opportunity.
But it's also our fault because we didn't hold them accountable for it and sue them. And we didn't force the courts to force them to follow the law because some of these codes and some of these ordinances are against the law, you know, and we can only prove that if we take them to court. So that's why I wanted to bring this up. You know, Monster House, you know, I think it's great that you guys are suing the city of Las Cruces for this. Hopefully no one else has to go through it because I've seen people go through the whole distance between a dispensary, the distance between schools. I've seen out-of-state entities get their license first because they got their hearing first and the person that was born and raised in Las Cruces got it second, and they didn't get their licensing because the other person got approved before them. And, you know, things like that, you know, and shady stuff happening too, you know, of course, you know, corruption stuff. And that only makes it worse when we kind of promote that. And the only way we're going to hold people accountable for is suing, you know, and especially the state and the cities, you know. And to be honest, this needs to happen a lot more because there's a lot that I feel even in my own city is happening that they're doing is wrong and it isn't in the law, you know, or the spirit of the law either. So if you're a business out there, you're having issues with your city, the state, whatever, sue the shit out of everybody, you know, if you can. Yeah, just sue them, sue the state. Yeah, put it to courts, you know, have the courts figure it out because the courts at the end of the day are going to be the ones who interpret the law for us if the state doesn't do it correctly. Now it goes the other way too. Now if the courts side with the state, you're going to have to go back and either fight it a different direction or change it legislatively. You know, legislative sessions, we have 30 and 60-day sessions every other year. That's how we get a lot of things changed. And to be honest, that's where a lot of these issues stem from to start, you know, is the legislature and the fact that we created a law that was flawed. And it happens all the time. You know, that's why we go back every year and we review these because we try to implement it, we figure out an issue, and now we have to do this and this to fix it. Now we can get to a point where we over-regulate things and there's too many laws too. So there's a little magical balance that we need to find. But I feel the courts are a really great way for us to find that little medium.
I feel like everybody needs to get it. I feel like how you said, there's not enough laws or rules being made because they don't want to.
Yeah.
And I feel like with people suing, it's going to force them.
Yeah.
It's going to force them to make those laws, and and eventually there will be a medium. But yeah, you're right. From what I can hear, I'm not as educated about it as you are, but it definitely sounds like the right direction.
Yeah, you're educated enough, and you're a smart woman. You know that that's probably just the best route to go in general. You know, so you know it makes sense. And I just want those out there that are watching. If you own a business, you're going through it, sue them. Yeah, and who knows? There might be other businesses that join you in that lawsuit, and it just makes it even a stronger argument for the industry when you do that. You know, like it just tenfold. It's like, well, we have this and this. This evidence was brought forth, whatever. And to be honest, like I said, the state has a really bad record of losing to the cannabis industry in New Mexico. You know, like they kind of
Pattern.
yeah, it's a pattern. You know, like
pattern.
yeah, they have a really really bad record. They've only won like 2 or 3 lawsuits here. So. I just wanted to give you guys that heads up. Thank you so much, Monster House, for letting me share that story. The Las Cruces Sun News did cover the story, but it's behind a paywall, and I wasn't going to pay for it. So sorry for those who didn't, but now you get the whole information from me right now. So hey, better than the news, I'm free.
Better than the paper.
Yeah, better than the paper, it's free.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you for letting me share that. You know, it's a standing litigation thing, so there's not many things that both sides could talk about. So I'm just trying to give the public information version essentially, and keep everybody in the know. But also, I want you guys to know, just sue the state. I know I keep saying that, but you know, it's only going to get better if we take the things that are going wrong and we know they're wrong to court. You know, because then they can say yes or no. And don't be afraid of the court saying, oh, this is illegal. No, it's a state court. It's legal here. There's nothing that anybody can do about it. So keep that in mind. And even in federal court, I don't know how many times I've seen cannabis lawsuits go to a federal court and they still have to see it. You know, they still have to hear it. It's still a lawsuit, you know, for whatever reason. So keep that in mind. But anyway, I'll stop kicking the dead horse on this for now. I'll be back on it some other time. Do you have anything else on this before we move on?
Other than the amazing conversations we've had so far,
Okay.
really, I mean, I've learned so much about the industry just from hearing you.
Oh, thank you.
You're very educated.
Thank you.
And I can't wait to watch the rest of your shows. Not saying that I don't mean to be that person, but I didn't really know what your show was about, you know, until I came here and I read up on you and I learned more about you. And I really love what you're doing.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's all I want to do is just help out.
Yeah,
You know, like,
congratulations, man.
Thank you.
This is big.
Appreciate it.
You guys have someone good with you.
Thank you. Yeah. Not many states have someone, you know, trying to keep people up to date. You know, it's very few in between. So who knows? Maybe you can be that for Texas one day.
He's trying to recruit me. He's trying to recruit me, guys.
On air. Oh man, we don't have good advocates. So you know, like whenever I see somebody I know is gonna be a good advocate, I'm like, you're gonna be an advocate. You don't know it. Yeah. And to be honest, and I haven't told you this, I say this all the time. If you're a cannabis user, you're in the industry, whatever, a patient, you secretly signed up to be an advocate the day you join. So everybody's an advocate. You just don't know it yet. And 98% of the battle is showing up. You know, the other 2% is saying the 30 seconds of what you have to say. You know?
Oh, yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I can't wait to see how it's going to be with Texas, Sunland Park, and Mexico, and Little Dubai.
That's going to be so wild. You're right. Yeah.
We already have people coming in, like writing articles, and like gathering statistics of people that get wrongly convicted just because, you know, they're trying to buy their medicine.
Yeah.
And it's super awesome to see. It's like little bits of history that people aren't going to fully be aware of, but it's happening.
Yeah.
And it's insane.
I kind of feel that the legalization movement is going to have a movie one day. And who knows, our little area might be a part of that.
And you're probably going to be one of the names in the cast.
Who knows? Yeah, for the Little Dubai name or something.
Yeah. I mean, the pioneer for Little Dubai.
The Little Dubai pioneer. That's
So
funny.
yeah, that's insane. Yeah. It's eye-opening.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, definitely. But speaking of Sunland Park and Little Dubai, let's segue into our last conversation, the Sunland Park Little Dubai update. I give you guys this every now and then because those who live in Albuquerque and Santa Fe, they rarely ever come down here, if not never. So I like to give you guys an idea and update what's going on and how it's going because it's crazy down there. It's a whole different world and a whole different market. I've been almost all over the whole state's markets and no other part of the state is like this. You know, like I get it. Albuquerque's our biggest city. They have, you know, way more dispensaries. They have a bigger population. However, within 60 miles of Las Cruces, there's over 3.4 million people, you know, within a 60-mile radius. That's a lot. That's more than the whole state of New Mexico. It's just a big portion of it doesn't have legal dispensaries. So, you know, it's kind of cut off. But every month, Little Dubai has been either top 3 in sales or top sales. The top 3 dispensaries in New Mexico, 2 out of 3 of them are in Sunland Park. The other one's in Albuquerque, of course, and it's Cookies. You know, Cookies is the highest grossing one in Albuquerque. I believe. I think so, yes.
And then in Sunland Park, of course, you know, it's just crazy down there. So I'm curious to see, are we going to have number 4 with Cookies showing up? You know, like, is it going to be number 4? Because those sales are ridiculous. You know, I looked and it was almost $285,000 in like 2 weeks. Like, that's impressive for anybody opening. You know, like, just looking at those numbers, I'm like, damn, that's some competition right there. You know, if you open up and in 2 weeks you make $285,000, you're doing something.
It's actually insane. It's actually, looking at the numbers, you're looking at them, you're like, oh, sorry. You know? But it's super awesome to see how Cookies in itself has just personalized their products, their brand. So it's just up to the people of El Paso to see whether they like it or not. You know?
Yeah.
So we'll see. I foresee Cookies definitely being.
Yeah, and you mentioned the Texans. About 90 to 85, I would say even probably more than 90% of the people that shop in Sunland Park's cannabis industry are from Texas.
Yeah.
You know, and some are from Mexico too, but a good majority are from Texas, and that's who's really going to dictate that part of the industry over there. You know, it's almost like Texas's industry because so many of them go over there to buy, and why wouldn't they? It's right there.
It's right there.
It's a rock throw.
I mean, especially with you know, illegal vending of cannabis, you know, like the street vendors, you know, it's cheaper, it's more affordable, but it's scary.
Yeah.
You know, it's scary. And I'm positive 80, if not 90% of people living in El Paso on the Texas side, they want to use stuff correctly and safely. And they just want their medicine, you know, and they want no add-ons. So I feel like that's the main reason why Little Dubai is succeeding so much. Nobody wants to buy off the street anymore. It's so dangerous, you know, it's so dangerous to just get laced with something. So I think just the comfort of having either, whether it's from Cookies, from our neighbor competitors, they just want something that's safe and correctly grown, you know. So that's what I foresee happening. But let's say Texas does legalize, you know, and it takes away our market spot. I feel like that's where it's up for kind of like how you look internally. It's a lot of internal work. It's a lot of market, and I'm positive Cookies would be able to challenge that head on. But it's a conversation later on.
Yeah.
But
we're probably 6 years away from
that. We're a little farther away from it, but it is something to take into perspective, like how you say, a lot of Texas is buying in Little Dubai.
Yeah.
In Little Dubai. And that's insane. The numbers are actually.
Yeah, they are. And, you know, Bill Slubins, I think I said his name right, he does analytical stuff on LinkedIn, and he holds like a Google Hangout every month, and I joined his one a couple weeks ago, and this is where all of the information I've been telling everybody is backed up by numbers. And so Sunland Park is one of the most healthiest markets in the state. The most healthiest market right now, though, is Carlsbad. Carlsbad, New Mexico is the healthiest market. Cruces is actually one of the least healthiest, backed by Albuquerque, which is crazy because of the sales, right? You know, and in Cruces, our sales usually like number 4, number 3 in the whole state. But Sunland Parks and Carlsbad's market is so rich and great because of their proximity to Texas. You know, us in Cruces, we're only 30 minutes, but we're not as close to Sunland Park. You know, and we haven't figured out a way in Cruces to draw more Texans here and to keep them here. And Sunland Park is the same thing. They haven't figured out a way to keep the Texans there. There's nothing keeping them there.
I think your consumption lounge is huge.
Exactly.
It's huge.
If they had one consumption lounge in Sunland Park, I think that would be a game changer.
It would.
Yeah.
It would definitely be. It's just a little hard. It's a little complicated.
Yeah.
But this is a vision. Being here, you guys probably can't see it, but the consumption lounge in here is so nice. And to be able to have that over there, I feel like it would be a game changer for even the bar industry.
Yeah, 100%.
Huge.
Yeah.
It would be huge. And I think it was last year that they reported that there was more consumption of cannabis than alcohol.
Yeah.
So that would be huge.
Yeah.
Extremely huge.
It's flipped.
So yeah.
And I found a lot of people that have stopped using alcohol due to cannabis. It's like, I used to be a raging asshole alcoholic, and now I just smoke my weed. You know, like I stay away from it. You know,
I'm calm.
Yeah.
I like cats now.
And you and I know in the military, they just pour that shit down your throat. You know, they promote
do.
the hell out of it. Yeah.
I don't know if this is a story that could be tossed out, but I remember when I was 18, I got to my unit. We had went to annual training in Colorado, and everybody was of age 21, and I was like that one fresh 18-year-old that just got out of basic, and everybody decided to drink that night. We were off. It was like our last day of annual training. My platoon sergeant pulled me to the side and he said, if you're 18 and you can back your country, you can drink a beer. And to me, I was like, that's fucking dope. Like, yeah, you're right. Yeah, I'm not What
Yeah,
do you mean?
yeah,
You know,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
What the fuck? Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. Where's my rights? So yeah, like I mean, you think differently, but alcohol from the beginning of my contract in the army towards the end, it's been a huge thing. I was an alcoholic. I would drink every day.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
And it was just very encouraged by leadership, by your battles, and it's not like it's encouraged like, oh, I want you to be an alcoholic. It's just more like people are trying to escape certain things and they're trying to have fun at the same time.
Yeah.
You can't really smoke in the army, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like that's like the only option you got. I
Yeah.
wish the army would have some sort of program for soldiers. I feel like cannabis could be a solution for a lot of things, and definitely veterans. Definitely veterans.
Well, maybe Sunland Park can really spearhead that issue because Fort Bliss is like right there. It's one of the biggest installations in the nation, and a lot of soldiers are getting out every day. So maybe Sunland Park or Live Dubai can, really spearhead that and try to figure out a way to get a hold of these soldiers that are just getting out, so that way we can change their life, either get them a job in the industry and get them away from alcohol, or show them that there's another way.
I feel like in life the only thing you don't have a solution for is death.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The only solution you don't have.
Yeah.
And for all these soldiers who are getting, Article 15 out of the army just because of some marijuana, it's actually sad and insane to me, just because I've seen what happens. There are SA or like, all that good stuff all that stuff that happens that gets swept under the rug, but as soon as someone pops off in the UA, it's extreme, like, Article 15, you're out.
Yeah.
And this could be the best soldier you have.
Yeah.
The best soldier you have.
Yeah.
And they're so quick to let them go.
Yeah.
They're so quick to let them go.
And there's a reason why the army has the retention problem. It's because they keep kicking soldiers out that are good soldiers, but they just fucked up. But the guy who
General director.
really fucked up, he gets promoted.
Oh,
He gets sent to the better unit.
He has like the best PC score.
Yeah. Oh, he has best PT though, so I don't know what to tell you. So yeah, and we got off the Sunland Park topic, but this is really important to talk about too. The fact that it can change and it should change. Yeah.
Little Dubai will be a pioneer just like yourself.
Thank you.
And I could foresee it. I could see it happening. It's gonna be huge, and the market value there is definitely unique.
Yeah, it is,
Unique.
and I'm excited to see what happens. Sunland Park keeps getting known notoriously nationally.
Mm-hmm.
And it's great because New Mexico, we're either known for UFOs, some stupid government thing happening, or someone getting shot for something stupid.
There you go.
Like
There
it's
you go.
usually
Or
what we're
Albuquerque.
Yeah.
Also.
or Albuquerque, or freaking Breaking Bad.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's something always bad or dumb. It's great that something positive. I talked to the mayor of Sunland Park the other day. He said we have millions of dollars to work with, and I'm like, great. I hope education and the city can start getting some improvements and everything like that.
I mean, so far, aside from cannabis, I love that New Mexico and its schooling and educational path has been so good. Like the college credits and the community college credits, if you're a registered resident, that's amazing.
Yeah,
It's amazing.
We have
Like
free
no
colleges.
other state is doing that.
Yeah.
Like that's
great.
It's nice,
Yeah.
And it's so encouraging to say that even if you don't come from money, I joined the army to pay for my school. I joined the army to pay for my school.
I did too.
It's super comforting knowing, I have little siblings. It's super comforting knowing that they won't have to go through the struggles that I went through to pay for college.
Yeah.
The same way, they can just apply and get a chance at life better. So I'm proud of New Mexico.
Yeah.
I'm proud of New Mexico.
I am too. And if you all didn't know, yes, we have free college in New Mexico, and that also means trade schools too. If you don't have your bachelor's already, because it's up to a bachelor's they're paid for, you can use this program. So it's essentially a scholarship. Is what you're getting. You can use it for a trade school. You can use it for a 4-year college, whatever. Essentially, it just gives us a starting foot, in the right direction.
It does.
Versus having crippling debt, after 4 years of some stress and all that other stuff.
I mean, if you think about it, also New Mexico has a lot of ghost towns.
Yeah.
It has a lot of small little retirement towns, and I feel like we need more attraction here.
Yeah.
We're a great state.
Yeah.
I love
Like Sunland Park. I mean, Sunland Park has benefited so much, not just from cannabis, but everything else that they're doing to change the city and to add to it, Cannabis is just one of the catalysts,
It's like the stepping stone for New Mexico right now. That's insane.
Yeah, it
Now
is,
that I
right?
think about it,
Yeah.
it's actually insane. It's
Yeah.
literally the stepping stone for a lot of possibilities in New Mexico.
Yeah, I
That's
agree.
Crazy.
Yeah. So,
Wow.
but anyway, that's all I really have for you guys on the updated Sunland Park. Thank you so much for joining me today. It was a
Thank
great
you.
conversation. I look forward to see what you do in the industry.
Yeah, I look forward to hearing Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I look forward to having you on again sometime in the future. Maybe next season. And thank you guys. I'll see you next week. Hit me up if you have any questions on things. I'm on social media. Make sure you like, subscribe, do what you got to do. Make sure you stay on. Bye, guys. Shoot.